Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. This one's just going to be a time-lapse sketch or painting, depending on how you look at it. So I actually made this for part of a Ecoline brush pen review, which are basically watercolor brush pens. So I'm going to be uploading that very soon, but I wanted to take the demo from that and do a bit of a narrated time-lapse, just to take you through the process. So I'm starting off just with the actual pencil sketch, and the pencil I'm using is a 0.3 Pentel mechanical pencil. I think that's what you call them. And 0.3 is referring to the actual nib size, so it's a very thin one. Aside from that, it's also a H lead, or somewhere along the H scale, so it is very light. Now this is great for me when it comes to erasing them, but I realise the bits you're watching at the moment are quite difficult to see. You can tell it is gradually getting a little bit darker as I work in the details though, and it's becoming a little bit more visible on camera. But please bear with me, it does get more visible as we go along. So I'm actually drawing this without any reference, you might be able to tell. And for those of you who've been watching some of my recent time-lapse sketchbook videos, you'll know I've been having quite a bit of fun just with drawing random creature designs, trying to use, well, not use reference, and also trying to work a little bit faster. I'm the kind of person that spends way too long on something, even just finding reference, rendering it, trying to make it perfect, finding the whole process just way too stressful, and then it doesn't usually look great anyway. But recently, I've been taking a different approach, at least for my sketchbook, and almost doing, I guess, random doodles and just drawing whatever comes out of my head, I guess. And some of them are actually coming out pretty cool, or at least I like the designs on them. So I didn't really have much of a direction in mind with this. It is a bit random. All I could think was I'm going for some sort of rock creature, maybe a stony sort of dragon type thing. I will put a link up on the screen and in the description to some of my other sketches like this, although they've been mainly in ballpoint pen recently. This one I started in pencil, and as you can see now, I've gone to the line art. So the inking stage of this, I'm actually using a Sharpie marker. It is one of the ultra fine ones, as you can probably tell. This isn't really my choice of pen when it comes to inking, but the reason for me using this is because it's waterproof. I did some tests in another video for that, I'll put a link to that as well. So I'm actually using watercolor paper here, hot pressed 300 GSM, again because of the upcoming watercolors that are about to go on. I did notice when using the Sharpie for the line art though that it was bleeding a little bit. It was nowhere near as sharp as I'd hoped. Maybe it's not as obvious on camera though. I will update the description box below this video to put in all of the tools and pens that I use throughout the video for those that are interested. You'll probably notice by the end of this, once I've added the colours, this actually ended up looking more like the Pokemon Onyx or even Steelix. Maybe my attempt at a realistic version. It was not intentional, but I do see it myself. And we're working on the colours now, or the greys I should say. I'd call that more of the rendering process. Something that I don't have too much experience with because I personally prefer sketching. But to give you a bit of a template of how I'm working in this video, I start with a sketch, the pencil sketch, then I ink it using a fine liner. Next, adding the colours, or in this case, grey tones. And then with this one, I finished it off with a white gel pen, just for some highlights. I used it more as reflection light, actually. And then I actually went over the outline again with the same black fine liner, or the Sharpie marker, just to make it a little bit thicker, a little bit more of a stylistic choice that. It's not for everyone, but I always think it looks pretty cool. And it just neatens it up if you've gone outside the lines as well. But you'll see that at the end. So I won't talk too much about the specifics of these Ecoline watercolor brush pens, because I will just stick a link to the video that I've made on them. But out of this full set of 10, I think I only actually used like 3 greys. They were the cool greys included, and then also the black. In fact, you can even see I'm using a brush with a little bit of water throughout this process. That's me fading it out a little bit. I did find that I went a little bit darker than anticipated by the end of this video. So the whole creature was just a lot darker than I intended. The reason for this was I kept upping the contrast and upping the shadows, but the set was quite limited with the greys that it had. So I unintentionally went darker. So it was much more difficult to keep it lighter. I think the only way I could have done this was probably by using the brush full of water more. And I do keep trying to blend these because, as I say, it was intended for a watercolor video to review these pens. But I didn't want to blend it too much with this design being like a hard-edged rock monster creature thing. Obviously the planes are going to be quite sharp if you imagine stones. If I'd have blended these out using the brush, it would have given more of a smooth, rounded effect, which there's nothing wrong with, but I didn't feel that was right for this design. It would have gone against all of the sort of line art that I'd created. And I mentioned this already in the other video, but I actually bought these pens to try out after seeing Fran Garces. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. He is an incredible artist. I recently bought his book. Again, links on screen and in the description below. But he does mainly ballpoint drawings. He does some insanely cool designs of dragons and, I don't know, dark, evil things, skulls, let's call them. And in that book, he recommends these grey Ecoline pens. Definitely check that book out though, because it really is a good one. But yeah, that's what made me buy these and try them out. So the actual design process for this as well, I tried to add some texture to it. I was pretty limited with these pens, but you can see throughout, like on the face, for example, I've tried to leave the lines quite obvious. I haven't blended them in, again giving it that hard-edged effect. But then everywhere else, you might notice I gradually put in some lines just to give the impression of cracks and imperfections throughout. And then adding the drop shadows also really helped on this, so from the teeth and the spikes, rocks throughout. And then last of all, I'm finishing it off with the thicker outline around the edge and, as mentioned, the Jelly Roll gel pen. It wasn't quite as light as I was hoping on this one, but it did the job. So remember, I will add links to all of these products in the description box below. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you guys want to see more time-lapse videos, creature creations, doodles, product reviews, etc, etc, let me know. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure you smash that thumbs up button and be sure to subscribe and turn notifications on for future content. Thanks for watching, everyone.